God, I feel like I haven't been here in forever, but I am super grateful to be here. If you guys are grateful to be here, drop some sevens because yes, Alex, I'm so happy. Um, yeah, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Caitlin Bird. I'm 27, and it's crazy because I've actually been here for almost 8 years, which is wild. Okay. So I'm originally from Michigan and I'm living in Indiana now. But like I said, I've almost been here for 8 years. And I got started when I was 19. I was in college, the normal path. The actually the only path I thought there was at the time. And going to really help people, really be able to pour into people. But at that time I really started to notice like I really don't think I want to work 12-hour days. I really don't think that I want to be away from my family when I have a family. So luckily, I was introduced to Abby and Abby introduced me to this platform. And ever since then, like my brain has changed. Everything I thought was possible has changed completely. And I know a lot of people get started because of the financial aspect. Like, of course, we start trading because of the finances, right? But for me, a lot of like what I value is the time. Time we can't get back. We can always make money, right? We can always get a job. And I just really, really wanted something that was really going to give me that time freedom. And I don't know about you guys, but obviously being here for 8 years, you kind of almost start to take for granted what you have, and your discipline starts lacking, and your consistency starts lacking. And for me, that's something that I feel like may actually be like the number one deciding factor between you and your goal is the discipline that it takes to really get there. And that's something that I've really learned over these 8 years. Because we think about it like we all go to work, right? We're disciplined. We have to show up for work or we're going to get fired. And we're going to work to get the result. We're going to get the result of getting paid so that we can pay our bills, right? And maybe some of us, are right on that edge of, oh, like I'm just paying my bills and I don't have that extra income, to do whatever I want. But luckily you're here, we have the platform. And, just using that discipline, like, okay, well, if I can be disciplined to get to that goal, because what I believe is really discipline is the only key factor that it takes to get you from where you are now to where you want to go. And, luckily we do have somebody who really pours into us and really models the discipline and consistency that we need. And I'm so lucky that she got me started here because it's not only been something that's like, okay, yes, we have the platform, we have the tools and everything. And going back to that discipline, if you have the tools but you're not using them, that discipline is the hardest thing out of everything. It's the showing up to go live, showing up to swipe coin and taking the trades that we're given. And for those of you that don't know, I use DCX because that time aspect too. You don't have to be in the market all day. You don't have to trade all day. Literally, it's just so simple. If you work like I do 6 days a week, it's so simple. So, going back to that, I'm going to pass the call over to somebody who I'm sure you guys can relate. She has poured so much into me, not just with, introducing me to this platform, but also just introducing myself to who I can become and really just working towards that. And you guys know she leads with so much discipline and such a good character that I really, admire and like love about her. So, with that being said, guys, I'm going to pass the call over to Abby. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm excited to see you guys later.
Wow. Let's go, guys. Can we drop some love? Can we show some love in the chat? Caitlin, I have missed you, girl. I love seeing you on this call tonight. Thank you so much for pouring into the team, kicking us off. And I just want to say too, it's been just a pleasure being able to work alongside you. I remember when you first got started, it was I have it in my phone. It was yesterday. Was I was looking up the date. Yesterday, 8 years ago, you guys want to drop some eights in the chat. Caitlin literally got started, and I remember that conversation. It was like, I want to do this. I just need to make the decision, and she made that decision. And 8 years later, it's crazy. So, girl, I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful to have relationship and friendship with you, more than just on a business aspect and a financial aspect, so much bigger, so much deeper than that. And you're too kind with your words. I'm a product of the product just like you are, and a testament of what it means to be consistent and just keep showing up, keep the faith. And I want to share real quick because we've got a couple things we're going to go over on tonight's call. But I want to share real quick. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. We got a couple anniversaries today or this month, so you guys can see this, right? We're good. Yeah. So drop some fives in the chat. If I'm not mistaken, I believe, Jake, you can correct me on this, but this month is Jake's 5-year anniversary. I want to drop these flyers in our Telegram chat. Make sure to show some love in there. 5 years is a big deal, guys. I mean, 1 year is a big deal, 2 years is a big deal, but talk about 5 years. Jake, you have been just a testament to what it means to show up. I wrote a couple things on here, but you are reliable, you're dependable, you are resilient, bro. You're humble, and that attitude, that heart posture that you carry, it's you can't teach that. It's caught, it's not taught. And I'm just so proud to see you continue to just stay committed, continuing to show up for yourself, continuing to show up for the reasons why you're here, why you're doing this. And you've made it so much bigger and deeper than just making money. It's bigger than a quick buck, and you're really working on yourself, and it shows. And I'm so proud of you, bro. So really excited to see who you continue to become. And then I, of course, want to show you guys one more here. Caitlin, I did make you a quick flyer. Hopefully you guys can see this. Let me know. But again, show some love in the chat. 8 years. I mean, like, you talk about almost a decade of your life pouring into this personal development, this growth journey. And that's who you are, Caitlin. Like, you made that decision, 8 years ago. You took a leap of faith, and you've been faithful this entire journey. It doesn't have to look perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. You just continue to make that decision, and it's a decision. It's a choice. You have to intentionally make that decision to keep showing up, and to work on yourself and to be better, and not let the temptations and the distractions of the world cause you to go otherwise, or fall off the path. You can always keep making that step forward. And so I'm so proud of you, girl, in your growth. 8 years is amazing. I can't wait to see what the compound effects of who you've become and what the things that you've been doing, what that's going to look like over the next 8 years. And if you guys understand the compound effect, like, man, it doesn't seem like a lot is happening in the beginning, those first year, months, several years, but if you just stay persistent, you stay perseverant, it's like it's as if everything that you've been waiting for happens all at once. And I just can't wait to see that for you guys. So proud of y'all. Your time is coming. Just continue to show up, be faithful, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So let me shout you guys out. We're here tonight. Kate, again, thanks so much for opening up the call. I loved hearing just your testimony and where you are and where you're going to continue to go. It is amazing. But I want to shout you guys out. I see Alex on the line. You have the ability to turn your cameras on. Turn your camera on. I want to see y'all's faces. I want to get the energy continue to increase on this call. I love the stuff in the chat. But I see Alex on the line. I see Chris up in here. We got Jock on the call. Jake, I saw you. You're in here. I see Jeff on the line. Caitlin, of course. We got Lorenzo on here. We got Sam, and then we've got Tony. All right, cool. Well, guys, I'm gonna be doing a giveaway at the end, so stay tuned. We got a crypto giveaway. But it's perfect for what Caitlin talked about, because what I want to share on tonight's call, and every time we do these calls, it's not just another call. I go to church, and when I first started going to church, I didn't think too much about it. Like, yeah, I might go every once in a while, and we'll see how I can fit that into my life. And lo and behold, over time, it became my entire life, where I can't get enough of going to church and being in God's presence. I'll tie this all into trading right now. We're going to church tonight. I want to be in the building. I want to be in that community, in that environment. I want to be in his word. I can't get enough of it. And And that's what I'm trying to say with these calls is it's so much more than just I've got to get in that next trade. I got to feel like I'm being busy and productive. It's not about that. It's about who are you becoming. And these calls are just maintenance, man. It's just bringing you into the community again, getting your feet to the fire, the campfire, sharpening your axe, getting you in a prime state to go out and just be the best that you can be, not just doing the things, but being the person. And so tonight's call, give it up. Before I dig into what does that mean, what does that look like for you, how is that practical in your application, how you can implement that, I want to just speak on really quickly, just to give you some perspective where you have to go mentally, where you have to go emotionally, where you have to go spiritually before you get to that point. It's not the things that we see with our physical eyes. It's the things that we can't see, that we see up here, that are causing self-sabotage, that's causing us to remain in the same, if you will, situations that we're dealing with, or not seeing specific results. I want to go there for a moment, and I want to talk about really quickly and just define what is success. We're all here for a reason. We want some level of success. We want some sort of result. That's why we got started. That's why we invest in ourselves. We put up the money every month into this education. We show up day in, day out. What is success? And I believe out of time and tried and true and tested, so many different things that I've gone through my experience. It is the pursuit. It's not an outcome. It's not a specific result or reward. That's just a byproduct of not just doing the right things, but being the right person in alignment, if you will, with that result. And I'm not talking about really law of attraction or manifestation on this call. I'm talking about you being in alignment with God, with godly things. And I'll lead this call in that way, and hopefully you guys can catch on to what I'm saying. But what is success? It's being in pursuit. It's the pursuit. So when I don't feel successful, I have to remind myself, what am I associating success to be? Is it the outcome? Is it my worth and identity and self-esteem and value in the outcome of what I'm trying to get? Or is it in the actual pursuit of the things that I can control, controlling the controllables? Sam and I were talking about that earlier today. Being in pursuit day in, day out, no matter what's going on, that is success. And what I'll tie it into trading and investing, write this down if you're taking notes, is clearly establishing and following your plan. Clearly establishing, outlining, and following your plan, your trading plan, your investing plan. If you're on this call tonight and you don't have a plan for when you're going to get in and out of the markets, whether it's trading or investing, that is your starting point. That is the number one focus you should be doing before you get to a live account. You should be doing before you start just messing around with real money. You've got to have a plan. You've got to have a system that you're following. Trading is not gambling. You go to the casino to do that. Okay. So that's number one, is following your plan. And second thing that you guys can write down is using proper and consistent risk management and risk to reward. Proper and consistent risk management and risk to reward. Patrick Kenny, we were talking about this on his session the other day on the Forex side. He talks about this all the time. You cannot survive and thrive in trading and investing if you don't have your risk management under control and you don't have consistent risk to reward. You can't be using different risk management on every single trade just because you feel like this trade's going to take off, or just because you had 3 losses in a row, you're going to adjust your risk management. It's got to be consistent every single time. Your risk to reward, if it's a 1 to 2, it's a 1 to 2 every time. If it's a 1 to 3, it's a 1 to 3 every time, every single time. And specifically when you're on a demo account, the goal and the purpose of a demo account, practice account, is to practice. It's not to try to win every trade. It's not to try to avoid losses. It's not to over leverage. Okay, if you got to get that itch out, I get it. But like the goal of a demo account is to produce data. You want to collect as much data as you possibly can, because that data, that documentation, that evidence, that proof is what's going to give you confidence to step into a live account. So many people I see all the time, you stay too long on a demo because you don't get enough data to give you the confidence to go live, or you jump into a live account too soon, lacking no, like you it's not even confidence, it's delusion that you're ready because you have no data, because you didn't do anything on your demo account. So you've got to figure out where are you at in that process. Are you on demo? Are you on live? Do you have the data to back it up? If you're still second guessing yourself on a live account, go back to your plan. Do you have a clear plan of when you get in? What does that look like? Clear plan of when you get out. What does that look like? You've got to outline these things. I have mine written on a piece of paper, probably in 5 different notebooks. I know it like the back of my hand. I know my rules, everything. And when you have that system saves yourself time, energy, and money. It's the acronym. Save yourself time, energy, and money. If you have a system, you have something that you can duplicate. And if you have something you can duplicate, you can always see results. But you've got to have consistent risk management, consistent risk reward, and have a clear plan with data to prove that it actually works. And not only that it works, but that you work the plan. We can have the best strategy all day long. By the way, there's no holy grail strategy. You can have a great strategy, but if you don't follow the strategy, then it's not going to work for you. This is common sense, I know, but I just got to say, I just sometimes got to say what's common sense, because it's not common practice. So that is success. It's the pursuit, being in pursuit day in, day out. It's not just about making money. That is a byproduct of not only doing the right things, but being the right person. And I want to give you a few examples of this progress, because at the end of the day, when you're in pursuit, you're making progress. And I want to give you some identification, some specifics, some details of what this progress will look like for you. And maybe some of these I'm going to read off. There's like 10 of them, 12 of them, whatever it is. You're going to identify with maybe a couple of these that are going to hit home for you that you've got to work on. Okay. And I want you to look for some key words in the descriptions that we wrote about Caitlin for her 8-year anniversary, and we wrote about Jake for his 5-year anniversary. You know, Jake was dependable, reliable, and he's humble, right? I want you to look for those characteristics, because those characteristics are what you're actually after. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the call, but those characteristics are what you're actually after. You're not after the dollar amount or the percentages or anything like that. That comes as a byproduct. You are after the character, the qualities, the attributes, the attitude that give way, that yield, that lead to those results. Caitlin, I said courageous, faithful, growth oriented, mindful, among a bunch of other things. Okay, so let me read these off for you. How are we doing? Are we good? Type a 2 in the chat. Are we here? We ready to rock and roll? Because I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay, so number 1, progress. Progress in trading, progress in investing. It's learning from your mistakes, not repeating them. Learning from your mistakes, not repeating them. And I could go on a tangent of what that looks like. I know not to over leverage, but I do it. So that's the second point. No longer over leveraging and following your plan. No longer over leveraging and following your plan. Second, you're surrendering to the process and getting out of your own way. Surrendering to the process and getting out of your own way. You're letting your winners ride and leaving your trade alone once you enter the market. I'm talking to somebody on this call right now. You're letting your winners ride and you're leaving your trade alone once you enter the market. You know, and you adhere to your risk tolerance. If you've got to get to a point where you know what your risk tolerance is. How much risk can you tolerate? Some of us are risking 5% of trade and we don't even know it, and we're getting super anxiety after a loss or 2 losses or 5. I don't even know how you can manage 5 losses. That's insane. But we don't know our risk tolerance and we're not managing our risk well. You got to know how much you can risk and still be at peace mentally and emotionally. And for me, I know with my account and what I'm doing, 1% risk is what I can handle. I cannot handle any more than that, because after five losses in a row, which I've done, after 10 losses in a row, which I've done, that's 10% loss on my account. And for me, any more than that, I'm getting discouraged. You gotta know your emotional temperature. What is going on with you? This has more to do with you than it does with the charts, because how you perceive the charts is not based on what the market is showing you. It's based on what you believe. It's based on your beliefs about the market. So you've got to know your risk tolerance. Only risking what you can afford and really can accept to lose. That second one, our next one, consistently showing up. How many go live sessions do you tune into a week? Right before this call started, I just got off a session, go live session with Nancy. She's on Thursdays right now at 4 p.m. my time. How many sessions are you showing up to a week? You gotta find a way to create sustainability. Look, when I started going, I mentioned this already, but when I started going to church, I literally thought about how am I going to make this work? I didn't even want to go every week. I'm too busy. I've got things to do. I've got calls to make, calls to have on a Sunday. You know, it's going to take up too much of my day. Excuse after excuse after excuse. Once I realized the reason behind the power behind going and getting in that environment and what that's doing inside of me when I show up, it was a no-brainer. There was a transformation that took place. I had to be in the room, and I was going to do whatever it took to be in the room. And that's what's going to happen is as you continue to show up and you put yourself to the fire, you put yourself in places and positions where you are held accountable, and you can have that shift take place in your heart. You can have that transformation take place. It won't even be a question of I like you're questioning if you're going to show up or not. You're automatically finding a way. Your mind just your default is I've got to find a way. And when you get to that point, like that's when the game gets fun because you're no longer dealing with the fleshly things that keep us on the path of where we've always been. You're operating from a higher level now, and that's when this game gets fun. So consistently showing up to I don't know, 5 go live sessions a week. You fill in the number. I know Alex on here, she's showing up to like 10, 12 sessions a week. I'm not saying you need to do that, but I am saying what can you do? What can you do and then stretch a little? What can you do and then stretch a little? Okay, next one, being patient to enter the market. Being patient to enter the market. Nancy just said this on her session. She was like, I'm not in a place where I need to just always be in the market. I remember that phase. I remember that phase of trading where I felt like I always needed to be in the market. Otherwise, I wasn't productive. I wasn't successful. I didn't feel like I was winning. I didn't feel like I was of value or I was producing something. That's not the right mentality when it comes to trading and investing. No, be patient. Wait for your setup. Follow your rules, your risk management. Next one, staying disciplined to your daily schedule. Caitlin talked about this. Staying disciplined, committed, following through to your schedule. What do you write out? I write out every single night before I go to bed, what is my schedule for the next day? And I cross it off. And I do that every day, every day, every day. Next one, forgiving yourself from past decisions and moving forward. I don't know why, but I felt called to say that because I felt that way for myself too. You feel like, maybe you wasted time doing X, Y, Z, or because you didn't do X, Y, Z, and you feel like it's all a waste or all for naught. I'm gonna tell you right now, God doesn't waste any time. You are where you are for a reason. He knows how to redeem your time. He knows how to redeem your past and deliver you from the things that maybe have haunted you, have taunted you, have kept you in a place of defeat or discouragement. I can tell you, you've got to forgive yourself and know that you already are forgiven for the things of your past, and you got to move forward. You've got to look forward. So next one, I've got a couple more here. Being at peace with yourself and where you are. Being at peace, having this level of contentment. It's not that I'm not satisfied. Like, yeah, I want more, but thou shalt not want. I'm content with where I'm at right now because I know where I'm going and I know the work that I'm putting in. I know the things that I'm doing every single day. And that keeps me at this place of peace and contentment with where I'm at right now, because I know I'm not staying here. I know that the things I'm working on are just going to continue to build within me, and I just pray that you guys find that peace for yourself as well. A couple more: focusing on what you can control, not being a victim to your situation, remaining a student and coachable to where you can improve. How often do we have mistakes that we make, but we're not coachable to the mistakes? We keep making them. We don't seek counsel. We don't submit to my next point, seeking out feedback. Instead of isolating yourself when things get hard or things get busy, don't isolate yourself. I sent this video. You're in our Instagram chat. If you're not in there and you want to be in there, send me a message. I'll add you. I sent a video in there today. This girl was at this gym and it was talking about the power of community. And she had this I don't know, dumbbell or something, and she was raising it above. She was trying to raise it above her head to do this lift, and she was struggling, man. She was struggling, and everybody in the room, you could hear it. They were clapping and clapping and cheering her on, and just encouraging her. And you could see her, like her faith and her sense of hope, and just like a possibility. I can do this. I can do this, just from being in community. And she raises her dumbbell over her head, and she goes like this, and she does it, and she holds it up there, and everyone's coming around. She's hugging them, and she just falls to her knees, I think, and she's like, it looks like she's weeping, she's crying. And that's the power of community, man. I'm not here to judge anybody. I want you to win just as bad, and maybe more than maybe you do. I want to see you succeed. And so seeking out, getting feedback, you don't have to isolate yourself. You don't have to go in that place of shame or guilt or whatever. Like, you can be a part of what we're doing here. You don't have to separate yourself just because you're not where you want to be, or you haven't been doing the right things. It's okay. It's okay. It's a journey. This is a pursuit of you just getting a little bit better. You just getting a little bit better. I love you guys. I want to help you. And I know this community, you guys on this call, you have that same desire, but I just got to speak that. I just have to speak that over us, because we need to know that that is the place that we have here. And then the last one, I know this was a long list. Hopefully you guys are getting something from what I'm sharing, but the last one is remaining faithful. Remaining faithful. And this is really that last point that I'm going to tie into really the title of this call, but remaining faithful, persevering, not quitting when things get tough. I could get emotional about that right now, because I know, and if you know it like you know it, where you've been through things that they just break you, man, and you just keep going. You just keep getting up. You just don't let life keep you down. You just keep going. And I'm so proud of you guys that you just keep showing up. You just keep showing up, man. Just keep the faith. This world wants to tear you down, and you just got to keep laying your brick. I saw this thing the other day, man. It was so good. I had to repost it. Some of you guys may have seen it. But it was this the screenshot. It said, "You're not failing. You're just in the part where most people give up. Stay in the room, brick by brick, one at a time." And I was like, man, that I can relate to that. So most of us, what do we do every day? Where am I going with this? Most of what we do every day, this call every week, right? It's just maintenance on yourself. When I stopped looking at going to the gym, like, what am I going to get out of this right now? That's why I didn't go. I wasn't consistent. And I started looking at it from a place of longevity, from a place of just work, like just getting better, that daily maintenance of, I look forward to my day, guys. I'm so excited about my day. I have a job. I work, 8 hours a day, and I go to work, and I do my work while I'm at work. And I'm grateful for my career and in the job that I have. But I love my day. I look forward to my day. I enjoy what I get to do every day, and I am so grateful. And I look at it as a form of just maintenance. How can I just get a little bit better? How can I glorify God in the way and in the things that I'm doing? That's how I'm viewing my day to day, my week to week. How are you sharpening your axe? How are you being held accountable? I have a lot of notes. I'm going to kind of jump through this so I can respect your guys' time on this call. But how are we doing? I've got a few more notes here. I hope you guys are doing okay. We are good. We are good. Awesome. Awesome. Love you guys too. Okay. We're still here. Okay. So I want to share this really quick. Patrick Kenny on his session, he shared, and I just want to speak some things to you guys that I believe if I just knew this a little sooner, things would have been a little different. Things would have been a lot of different. For me, and everything is received in a timely manner when you're ready to receive it. But maybe you guys are ready to receive this tonight. So he said this on his session the other day. He was like, one of the number one reasons why people who believe they are doing all the right things yet still not getting results comes down to your expectations. How many of us have ever believed that? You don't have to type in the chat, but maybe you felt this way before. I know I have. Man, I'm doing all the right things, yet I'm still not seeing results. He said it comes down to your expectations. Expectations are not reality. Expectations are what you want or what you think or what you believe. Reality is what is required. Reality is what is required. So what does that look like day to day? I'll give you two examples. Expectation. People come in, they get started. We see this all the time. I must 10x my money this run, this year, this month. this, whatever. Okay. That's their expectation. Okay. Well, the reality is investing requires patience. Investing requires time in the markets. It's not about timing the markets, it's about time in the markets. The markets will do what the markets want to do and when they want to do it. How many can drop an amen in the chat to that? How many of y'all have been wrecked by the markets because we inserted our expectation when that was not reality? Okay, that's an investing example. Second example is expectation. People come in, get started. I want to be withdrawing $2,000 a month this year so I can quit my job. Okay, great. That's a great goal. Not saying you can't hit it, but I'm saying the reality is trading requires patience. That's a great goal. I'm not diminishing your guys' goal, by the way. I want you guys to create goals. I want you to have dollar amount goals, percentage amount goals. I want to just keep things in perspective because I understand the process and I understand what sanctification, right? The refining process of what happens. Everybody has a different starting point when they begin this journey, and some people hit results way faster because of who they are when they started versus other people who they are when they start. It's different. So the reality is trading requires patience, mental and emotional discipline, spiritual maturity. It shouldn't necessarily, to be honest, trading, and these are conversations I've had with some of the top educators, Jay Awal, Mike Navarrete, even Patrick Kenny. I was messaging him on Instagram about a month ago or so. We were talking about some of the things that he's doing on sci-fi and kind of comparing what I've been doing with the harmonic scanner, just different conversations. And from their point of view, you can hear all of them talk about this on their session. Trading really shouldn't necessarily be used to replace fully like just your job's income. Like that's great if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm just trying to give you guys, I'm trying to set you up for success. And when you use your trading account as a multiplier, as a means to multiply, as a means to compound the money that you have and use that to deploy it into other investments, one, I can tell you it will take the pressure off of what it means to trade. You don't have to feel like you need to be in the markets all the time. You can just take your trade and that's fine. So understanding your expectation versus reality. And the downfall for so many is that when you start investing your money, you keep touching it. Patrick Kenny said the last 5 years have been the easiest time to make money. And if you haven't been making money, look back at your expectations, not in the things that you're necessarily doing, but who you're being, the beliefs and the filters that you're living from. So you keep touching your money. You invest your money, you keep touching it. You keep trying to take it out. Let it run. Okay. And when you enter a trade, you don't leave it alone. I've seen this countless times for myself. I don't let my winners ride. I'm pulling out too early. I let my losers stay in way longer than they should because I don't have proper risk management, the whole 9 yards, right? It really comes down to those two things. So having a clear plan, following it is important. But what wrecks people is their lack of mental and emotional preparation. We're just setting ourselves up to lose by really having a poor attitude and not having the right expectations. And the last thing before I get into what does it mean to give it up on this call, I want to share with you something Cobain said recently on his calls, Kurt Cobain on the crypto side. But he says this, I feel like almost on every single call. He always talks about this. He said it doesn't matter how great the seed is, the action, the work you're doing, okay? The idea. If the soil is bad, your attitude, that seed ain't going to grow. That's a gem for somebody. That's a gem for me. It doesn't matter how great the seed is, the action, the work you're doing, the ideas you have, that's all great. But if the soil is bad, the soil is not tender, it's not ready, it's not receptive to the seed, your attitude, your heart posture, all these things, right? It's that seed is not going to bloom, it's not going to flourish, it's not going to take root. And grow. And so the issue is we just can't see ourselves, right? So what we do is we project from what and who we think we are, thinking we are one way, but in reality, we aren't actually who we think we are. I can raise my hand that high on that one. We do this all the time. It's not like I was that. We do this all the time. And we want to go from a place of projection and being concerned with how other people perceive us and how we're coming off to people and just in this space, in this community, being who we actually are, your actual image, not the image that we project. And all these things tie in because these are the things that are actually holding us back. I could think I'm doing all the right things, but because I don't actually see But because I don't see my actual self, I can't see that I'm impatient or undisciplined. I don't know what I don't know. And this is why community and groups are so important, because we tend to always, and I know this, we tend to shy away from feedback. We tend to avoid accountability. But that right there, that feedback that we're shying away from, that accountability that we're just not asking for or taking initiative for, or just maybe even neglecting altogether, that right there for many of us is the missing piece. We have everything in front of us, but we don't have that layer of accountability. We don't have somebody else giving, showing us our blind spots. So what does it mean? This last part I'll share with you guys. So what does it mean to give it up? Give it up. I'm not saying give up. I'm saying give it up. What does that mean? Habits, tendencies, filters, beliefs, expectations, all of it that make us who we actually are. Yet oftentimes, those are the very things that are sabotaging our success. Those things. Remember when you got started, you came in with certain expectations and beliefs and filters and understandings about things. And that's what we started to live out. That's how we started to do things in our process. And when we didn't see a result, or we got a quick result and then we lost it, we get defeated, we get discouraged, we get bitter, we get doubtful, we start blaming, and we have this skewed perspective that's not even real, because we just didn't set ourselves up for success. And so there is a process. You're taking this. It's really important. It's really important. There is a process of sanctification that you will endure if you stick around long enough. I can tell you, and I'm not trying to get emotional again, but I can tell you, and I'm relating all this back to just my walk with God and what that has been like for me, and not just experience, but just the word. There is a process of sanctification that you will go through, that if you follow Jesus long enough, there is an undoing that will happen, an undoing of your old self and being born again, and what that actually looks like. There is a sanctification, because when you follow someone great, when you're pursuing something great, you will always have to endure testing and trials. And that testing and those trials and that sanctification begins when you say yes. As soon as you say yes, that process is begun. And the hard things that are happening are not happening to you, but they're happening for you. And I'm not trying to sound cliche, I'm just trying to keep it real. So we must give it up, those habits, those things, those ideologies, the identities that are holding us back, in order for us to grow up. We will all get older. We all get older, but age, we know this, age and time don't equal growth. Growth is intentional. If you're taking notes, write it down. Growth is intentional. Growth is refining. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. I just got to say these words so we know and we're clear on what to expect as you go through this process, so you don't think it's like it's not coming out of left field. So it's like a surprise. Oh, I shouldn't feel discomfort. I shouldn't feel pain. I shouldn't feel embarrassed for asking a dumb question. It's not a dumb question, but you feel like it's dumb, but it's not. Okay. Or it's right. I have to put these things out in the open, so we're all on the same page. You will experience this. You will go through this. It's refining. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. It can be embarrassing at times. It's humbling. It can seem unfair. It doesn't feel good. It's inconvenient. It's counter to everything that's familiar to us, because we're doing something we've never done before. You walk with Jesus, you're going to do things that you've never done before. He's going to take you places you never even could conceive or dare to imagine. There is a place that's there. So there is a breaking that's going to take place, a breaking of our pride, a breaking of our ego, a breaking of the ways of how we do things, how we see things. Look, if you are not, I'm not trying to be it's called masochist. I think that's the word, where everything is about pain and suffering. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. But I am saying, don't shy away from the hard things that you're going to experience and feel. There is a breaking that must take place. It's a breaking of your old self. I know I'm kind of getting a little deep, but stay with me just for a little longer. I promise the end will be worth your while. But I know you guys came here because you want to be on that path towards financial increase, freedom, independence, deeper than just making a quick buck. But trust me on this. I've seen it for myself. You don't want to get a result without also being the person that is fit to manage, that is built to manage and sustain and duplicate that result. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten results in the past and I've lost it, and it hurts. And you know, you get some reflection time, and you know, you go back to the drawing board and you work on yourself. But what happens for a lot of people is you see that result and then you lose it because you got it too fast. You were going based off of the projected version of yourself and not the actual version of yourself. And what happens is people quit. People don't keep the faith. So those things where your faith has been tested, your patience and discipline has been fortified, your character, you now have, because you've endured the pain, you now have character, emotional and spiritual maturity. Look, at the end of the day, if you're not uncomfortable, we say this all the time, right? If you're not uncomfortable, you're probably not growing. So don't think it's like unusual for you not to be uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable every day. I wake up at 4 a.m. because I start work at 6:30 a.m. just so I can get a workout in at the gym. That's priority. And so I can have a specific amount of time. I want to give myself a specific amount of time to spend time in prayer, to read my Bible, to read my book, and to make breakfast. I give myself that time. And so that's uncomfortable. It doesn't always feel good. I look forward to it. I enjoy it when I'm in the process, but I'm tired. And a bed sounds so much nicer than waking up when it was cold and dark, but now it's hot. If you're in Arizona, you know what I'm talking about, right? So you're uncomfortable, right? You have to come to terms with what this is. You can't be here and force your expectations on what this is going to be. And I'll reference it back to Jesus. You start following Jesus, and then you start realizing like what it actually means to follow him. And then you don't want to follow him anymore because you realize that it's a narrow gate and most people don't follow the narrow gate, and you just stop. You just kind of live in this la la land of what you think it is. And that's what people do here. You think that this is something and it's really not. And we're just in this delusion. And I'm trying to just set you guys up for success with the right mentality. If you have the right mindset, you have the right heart posture, it doesn't matter what you go through. You can face it. You can deal with it. So those things, you want to make sure you have those in check. So the last thing I just want to share with you, a quick scripture. How are we doing? You guys okay? You give me another 5 minutes, we'll wrap up this call. We'll do that giveaway. I just want to give you this last part, this verse that I think has really spoken to me. Really was something I heard from our pastor out here. He literally had quoted it in a service, and I was like, wow, that is incredible how he broke that down. So I just want to make sure, are we doing okay in here? All right, cool. So this last scripture this last point I want to make with you guys, I'm gonna tie it all in, and hopefully give you some substance on this call. Is if you want to look it up, it's James chapter 1, verse 2 through 4, and it says, "Count it all joy when you face trials of many kind, because it is the testing of your faith that produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." This is the one scripture that I probably memorized maybe 5, like just really solid scriptures. This is the one right here, and I just want to break it down in reference to what I just shared with you. Number 1, you will face hardship. Count it all joy. You will face trials of many kind. Okay, what does it mean by counting it all joy? From what I have interpreted, from what I've heard from service and just reading the book and what the Holy Spirit has ministered to me, you will face hardship of many kind. Counting it all joy, I'll tie this in at the end, but you can have joy in the things that you're facing because you know that the testing of your faith, you know what that produces. You know what that's going to produce. The right character, the longevity, the perseverance, all of those things, you know what's going to produce, and you know that you're going to be a reflected image of Jesus, okay, of God. So you will face hardship. God is so specific. He is so detailed, and he will speak directly to your unique situation and your needs. Yeah, he's going to speak directly to your thing that nobody knows about. That thing that's been harboring and sitting in your heart for years, for maybe even decades for some of us. Okay, trials for some of you may be, I'm going to give 2 examples. Trials for some of you may be in the area of discipline and commitment. What does that mean? Where you're going to have things in your life that are going to come to surface where Maybe they weren't a problem before, but now because you decided to commit to something great, now there's going to be issues. Now there's going to be things coming up. And it's just because there's tension. But good things happen when there's tension because you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision if you're going to persevere. So you're going to maybe have in this area personal issues. Things are going to come up. You're going to maybe have a demanding work schedule. Maybe you've always had a demanding work schedule, and now you're pursuing something that actually is going to require you to step up and get outside your comfort zone. And there's going to be tension. You're going to have to make a decision. Or maybe it's taking care of your family. Obviously, all of these things are very, very important. You have to tend to those. Those are priority. I get it. But it's become now what's happening, it's become more, those things have become more of an excuse to not show up instead of the very reason you must remain disciplined to this skill set, to this process. Instead of those things being the excuse, it should be the reason why you've got to show up. I show up because of my family. I show up because I have a demanding, busy work schedule. I'm showing up because these personal issues, I've got to make sure I've got the financial means moving forward. Like it becomes your reason, not the excuse. So maybe you're going to have trials in the area of discipline and commitment and follow through and faithfulness. And for others, you may have trials for, in dealing with, and all these are kind of intertwined, but you get what I'm saying. Maybe some of us are going to have trials when it comes to dealing with our own pride and our own patience and how we want to do things. Okay. And I'm speaking from personal experience, guys. All these things, and I try to take into consideration conversations I have as well. But what happens is our doubt and our insecurity sabotage our actions. We're thinking we're doing all the right things. But we're not seeing the results because of this. Our pride and our impatience, our doubt and insecurity is getting in the way. It's sabotaging our actions. You've got bad soil. We've got to work on the soil of our mind, the soil of our heart. You don't really work on it. You've got to surrender things. You've got to submit. You've got to lay it down. And what happens is in that process is we neglect feedback. We avoid accountability. We isolate. We think we've got it all together and all the things, right? So you've got good seeds, but not good soil. The challenges you face are a lot of times self-imposed by our own thinking and beliefs. So you will face hardship. That the testing, it's all for a reason. It's all for a reason. We've got to turn your hearts. We've got to change, we got to shift, we got to transform. And so what's going to happen is your faith in those moments of pain and hardship is your faith is going to be tested where you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to make a choice, choose. Am I going to continue to do what I've always done, or am I going to choose what's new, what's unfamiliar, what's uncomfortable? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the assurance of things not seen, the things that I cannot see. You had faith to say yes to learning this. You had faith to put money down every single month without fail. You continue to do that no matter what. Guys, I can't tell you how many times when I was making $1,300 a month, rent was, I don't even know how I did it, man. But I was paying rent. I had student loans that were almost $1,000 a month. I don't know how I did it, but by the grace of God, it happened. And I continued to pay my membership in those moments because I knew I needed to be in the room. I had to be in that environment. I had to put my feet in front of the people that could hold me to the fire, that could hold me accountable. So you have faith to do that. You to do the work without an instant or known return. Your faith is being exercised and put to the test. Do you really want this? Or will this be like everything else that you started and stopped when the going got tough? Going back to that place. You're not failing. Nothing's wrong. You're just in the place where most people give up. Keep the faith. You're not failing. Just keep the faith. And I don't want you to give up your faith in this because you're not giving up on the company. You're not giving up on me. You're giving up on the person that you could become, and that person that you become, how that's going to make an impact on the people in your life. Trust me. My sister gave her life to Jesus. She got baptized. My mom has a relationship with Jesus like she's never had before. She shows up and watches the online service. She's getting involved. She's now reading the Bible for the very first time in her life. Because you change, you transform, the people in your life are also going to change. Just watch. You don't have to shout it to the rooftops. You just have to live it. You just have to be the example. Because wherever you go, if you don't do it here, man, if you don't do it here, wherever you go, I always say this, if it's not going to work here, I always want to know why. But if you try to go somewhere else, Wherever you go, there you are. You still have to become the person to get whatever result you're trying to get. Give it up. Give up those things that are holding you back, that you need to surrender. You know the things, the thing, whatever it is, that can't go where you're going next. The undisciplined, impatience, pride, anxiety, fear, bitterness, your need for certainty, your need for validation. You cannot go where you are going next. You've got to give it up. And then last couple points of that scripture, perseverance is produced, endurance, longevity, character that has been tried and true. When you allow your faith to be exercised in the midst of adversity and challenge, you are producing something that money cannot buy, baby. Endurance and longevity, character that has been tested. You can outlast. You can keep showing up, trial after trial, bad day after bad day, uncertainty after uncertainty. Your faith can be trusted in the things that you hope for and the assurance of what you cannot see. You can continue to show up. And last point is let perseverance finish its work. Let it finish its work so that you will be mature and complete, lacking nothing. You will have developed the character and the heart posture, the attitude and the spiritual maturity that is required, because it's not about expectation of what we want, it's what is required, reality of what is required. You will have what is required. Wealth takes faith, it takes perseverance, it takes patience, and without it, no real lasting result. Let it run its course. Let it test you fully. Let it sanctify you. Let it refine you. Let it break you to build you. Let it transform you. What is the work? It's a new you. The work you're doing is leading you to a brand new you. The you that God has for you, the you that you didn't even know you needed, the you that you didn't even know you've been craving, you've been longing for. It's the you, it's the image that God has for you. Our wealth, our health, our relationships, all of it, all of it, all of it. It's not just this company. It's not just what you're doing here. I'm trying to give you a bigger vision than just making money. Okay. Trust me. Once you make some money, you realize, okay, I know how to do this. I know how to duplicate it. I just had to become the right person. All of it will be tested, and lasting results require you to last. I would write that down. Lasting results require you to last. Outlast. Keep the faith. You got to keep the faith. You got to persevere. So that is the call, guys. We're going to do the next call in 2 weeks. We're trying to just continue the bi-weekly format, but that call will be on April 10th, Thursday. It'll probably be around the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And maybe we'll do another giveaway. I don't know. But hopefully this call was of value. I know I shared a lot with you guys. We normally do not go this long. But I just wanted to give you guys some perspective and really at the end of the day, value that you can go out and practically apply. And I hope it just shifts something in your heart. Hope it just shifts something in your mind. So you can go out and just be better, more than just doing, but to be better. So I'm going to stop the recording real quick, and we're going to do that giveaway, and we will get you guys out of here.